Hey everyone. So today I am interviewing someone who's been a huge part of my business journey with Applauding Women. Someone who I randomly found on Instagram and instantly loved her personality and her content. And now I call her my life coach, and her name is Leannah. Welcome, Leannah. I'm
Thank you
excited
so much
to
for
interview
having me
you.
here.
So we talk a lot for the past 2 months, probably. But for those who don't know you, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you became a life coach?
Absolutely. I thank you so much. I am Leanna Lumawig. I am a life coach, and I haven't always been a life coach. So I grew up in the Bay Area, um, and worked in tech for over 10 years.
Mhm.
And I realized that that path was something that I was striving to become successful in. And after 10 years, even though I had all of the things that I thought would make me feel successful, would make me successful, I didn't feel successful. I didn't feel fulfilled. I wasn't happy. I wasn't at the level of happy that I thought that I knew that I could be.
Mhm.
So I went seeking for answers and down different paths to find out what would make me happy, what would make me feel fulfilled. And it led me to life coaching. And in that journey, I also thought about other things that would make me feel fulfilled. And it was surfing more often, it was being in a warm tropical environment. And that's how it led me here to living in Bali. So I've been a coach since 2014. So I can't believe it's been 7 years. And I've been living in Bali since 2015. It started out as just an idea, as just a trip to see, to just follow what I wanted to do temporarily for the time being. And this is kind of how life ended up.
So, a lot of people have their own perception of what a life coach is. In your own words, how do you define what a life coach is and what do they do?
Okay, so a life coach helps people get clarity on what it is they want in their life. Most of the time, it's professional, because we identify so much with what we do with the majority of our day that helps us, that helps us survive, that helps us fuel other parts of our lives, right?
Mhm.
So I help a lot of people a lot in their career, in their relationships, in their own personal growth. And it could be other areas as well, like where they live, what they do every day, the friendships and other people in their lives that they have other relationships with. But I help them get clear on what ideal looks like for them, what exactly it is that they really want that they don't have today, and help them find a path towards it and create what that looks like and
Mhm.
help them go in that direction.
So that kind of leads me into the next question, which I was curious about, which is you have so many people with different expectations from you. How are you able to accommodate everyone?
How I do it is really asking them questions about what they want, getting really clear on what they want, and using the same process, right? Using a similar process to gain the clarity, to using some of the same tools to help them go and use that on their own life path,
Mm-hmm.
right? Yeah, it is really interesting, right? Because when we hire consultants, they're experts at exactly um, the same skill set, right? Or
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
the same path that people are walking on.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, it's all over the board.
Yeah. Which seems like a challenge.
It is. And what I love about it is that diverse experience, is that I get to work with you and grow applauding women, that I get to work. I am actually just started working with a client who wants to improve their surfing. So I get to
Oh,
work with someone about improving their
wow.
surfing, which is cool. Like I've not done that before,
Uh-huh.
in this way. And it's just the same. It's really at the core. getting crystal clear around people's deepest desires and
Mm-hmm.
why they, what is important about what these desires are. Like, would it, and in the end, it's a lot of the time it's joy and fulfillment.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also so maximizing joy and fulfillment and limiting or minimizing suffering and friction in people's lives.
Even with you working with me, I came in not knowing where I was going to go with my business. And it's amazing how much you were able to pull out of me. So this was new for both of us. And it's crazy what we came up with just working together.
And there's no one like you, and there's no brand like Applauding Women.
Mm-hmm.
And I really admire what you're doing, and I'm so happy to be a part of it.
How do you choose your clients if you do get a choice?
How do I choose my clients? Well, I have to connect with my clients, right? And I said this to you in our first meeting together. I've got to really have this connection to their who they are and what their goals and what their purpose is. If I can see, wow, there's really this is really meaningful for them. This would really help them get to this next level of life that they want to step into.
Mm-hmm.
And if I feel like there is like a richness in the path, like, and it's something that I feel in my body that I get excited about, that's essentially it.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's like this deep care for the person and what their purpose is, and I connect to it. That's how I decide this is a good match. It's kind of like a relationship, right? That it takes two people to be interested in working together or being in a relationship with each other,
Mm-hmm.
because it is very intimate, right?
Yeah.
And we get really deep.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that like that energetic connection, but also the connection in um, how I feel about the person and if I can help them. Now, if it's something like surface level, like they just want exercises, they just want me to tell them what to do, which is so not what I do, right?
Yeah. That was noted on our first meeting.
So that's not the type of relationship that that I want to have with my clients. And I love the question, like, well, what is, how do you get people from point A to point B? And a lot of people have this misconception of, oh, a life coach is someone who has all of their stuff together. They'll just tell me what to do, and I'll just do it, and then my life will be together. And that's not how it works,
Yeah.
right? So it's yeah, just to answer your question, it's just having that connection to their purpose and having them connected to their why as well. That's kind of where a lot of the growth and the traction comes from.
And I love how you touch on that because I think that's been the most memorable part of us working together is just off the bat when we were first speaking. You were honest with me and saying, hey, I don't just work with anyone. I work with someone who I know I can help, who I connect with. And I respect you a lot for that because most people just do it for the money versus actually wanting good results.
Yeah, thanks for saying that.
Yeah. But I know we talked about you working in the corporate world and we didn't really go into depth about it, but we did touch the topic of being a woman of color and the struggles that you faced in the corporate world. As far as being a life coach, have you faced any struggles being a woman of color?
I would say yes
Yeah.
and no. I mean, well, I would say yes in the beginning, because if you take a look at the personal growth industry,
Mm-hmm.
it's not as, I mean, it's more diverse now than it ever has been. But when I started coaching in 2014, and when I started going to coaching school, I was the only person who looked like me.
Mm-hmm.
I was often the only person of color. So, and and like they had that intersectionality, like the women of color, person of color. I was also younger than a lot of people by a couple decades.
Mm-hmm.
People were in their 40s, 50s, 60s, and I was like just hitting my 30s, like, um, and so it was really hard to connect with some of these people. And I didn't know it at the time because when I was working in corporate, it was the same thing. I was like the only woman of color in a lot of my teams.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was something that I was used to, and it was something that I just didn't think it was a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, getting older and reflecting and seeing these conversations about marginalization and equality and how hard and how race comes into play in the workplace, in the professional world. I'm now seeing, looking back, some of the experiences that I've had were challenging, and some of these things that I'm still like struggling with.
Mm-hmm.
So as far as in the beginning of my journey, it was difficult, especially when I was in these learning environments where I was the student and not being able to connect in a way, not being able to um, understand, uh, like connect with a lot of the people in my cohort.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's something. But also, on the other hand, being a woman of color makes me proud
Mm-hmm.
to work with people like you,
Mm-hmm.
because we vibe on in a way that if I let's just say if you or I were not women of color, it just wouldn't work the same way,
Yeah, I agree.
right? So we have that special interaction between us two because we are both women of color.
Mm-hmm.
And me going from in all like the not very diverse environment and industry, or like feeling like I had to maybe be like someone else and not necessarily own my color or my background, my heritage, um, and breaking into owning it more and choosing to represent and also support more of the community.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a tough journey around identity. Um, and really edgy, right? Like
Yeah.
talking about for everyone is edgy,
Yeah.
and but it's also been healing for me, and it's also helped me connect more with my roots, and I've developed a greater sense of pride along the way, and I'm still growing and doing it.
Um, yeah, you're a huge role model for me, and I think you're a huge role model for most of us women. So I I don't think I can say that enough. So where do you see yourself 5 years from now?
5 years from now, I did a clubhouse chat on this back in April.
Mm-hmm.
I did a vision board thing, so I'm prepared for this question. Sometimes it's hard for me to answer, because we evolve, right?
Mm-hmm.
I Back in 2015, I did an exercise like this. I don't think it was 5 years in the future, but it was actually 6 months in the future. And I was still in corporate, and it was April of 2015, and I thought, man, I'd love to be somewhere tropical. I'd love to be out of corporate. And at the time, I was sitting at my desk in corporate on the clock, just writing this. I was in corporate, and I was thinking, like, daydreaming, like, I don't want to be in this environment. It feels stifling. I want to be somewhere where I feel free, liberated, and open. I want to work with people from all around the world. And all I want to do is personal growth work. I want to coach. I want to lead workshops. I want to um, just interact
Mm-hmm.
this way. And I want to surf. I want to be a better surfer and all of this stuff. And I want 6 months to do it. And, after a couple of months, I was looking down at my paper. It's like, nothing's happening. What, did I write this down for nothing? Should I throw this out? And long story short, I ended up in Bali 6 months later, not knowing that I was going to move here, but I ended up coaching. That's all I did. So I wasn't working in corporate anymore. And that was a wish that I had on my list. And I was coaching from people from all around the world. I ended up going, instead of my longboard surfing, I graduated to the next level doing shortboard. So as all of these things were coming true. And then I realized back this year, like, maybe I need a new one, right? Because that's all happened.
Yeah.
And it was scary for me, because it's like, you think just because you've done something before that that it's going to be easier the next time. It just escalates, right? Like with you, like all of the goals that you're hitting, like every single time we meet and you hit a new goal, it's like, oh my gosh, that's another next level scary.
Yeah.
So I did this exercise in April again of this year. Wow. Okay. So 6 years later, yes. And I said, within the first year, I wanted to hire a team. And I just hired my team a couple of weeks ago to help me. And it's been insanely, it's been so helpful.
Yeah.
Man, why didn't I do this before? Why am I doing all of this on my own? And I just had to get over the fear of, paying a staff or like paying people to, I had this fear of like, what if I couldn't sustain it? What happens if something bad happens? But I had to get over it. So there were a couple of other things on my 5-year plan that I put on there. Like I'd love to write a book at some point. That's scary because I've always identified as a crappy writer. Right? So to get over my fear of that limiting belief that I'm not a good writer. So that's something that would be amazing to do. And I'd love to still spend time in Bali, but also have other places where I spend more time, like have a home base in different places of the world. I've never been to Europe. And my partner actually is from Germany. So like we're talking about going to Europe at some point. So that would be amazing.
That's exciting.
Yeah. And from a professional standpoint, launching my course again. So I'm launching it next month, at the end of next month, but I'd love to do that yearly, which is cool because I launched it last year. It's called Pursuit on Point. And I'm launching it again this year, exactly the same week, the end of July.
Oh, okay.
Later. So it's a 2-week. It's an 8-week life design, career, getting clarity on your career and your next steps course. Group coaching program, actually. So I'm launching that. That was on my vision board, as well as creating a membership program. So I'd love to work with clients that I end with that maybe they don't need one-on-one coaching, but maybe they can be part of a community that I curate and deliver content on a consistent basis, like every month, and have a place for us to all to connect. The students of my first course that I created, Life Design Lab, and the students from Pursuit on Point, after, they're like, well, how do we, like, is that it? Like, where do we go? What do we do?
Don't leave us hanging.
Yeah, and I have some people in some cohorts from back in 2018 that are still meeting every single month. And it's just like, well, if you guys are doing this organically, would you be interested in, like, let's like bring everyone together?
Yeah.
Right? You guys are are familiar with the way that I teach or that I coach. And obviously it's, giving them value and staying connected and continuing to do this work together. So that's also something that hopefully this year,
Yeah.
one step at a time. So those are some things that long-term, short-term that are on my vision board for the next
So
5 years.
excited for you.
You too.
Those are all good
You
ideas.
too. Yeah.
And I'll be part of your membership too.
Oh yeah, I'm happy. Would love to be there.
Is there, you've kind of touched on my next question, which is what are you working on now that we should look out for?
Now I'm really focused on my Pursuit on Point launch, which is the 8-week group coaching program that I've been working on. And I'm really excited about it. It's taking a lot. I'm adding on. I'm just, improving the course, improving the whole launch process. And just growing that is my main focus. The membership is going to be right after. I'm really looking forward to doing that because not only is it something that I've never done before, but it's also something that is that I've been asked to do. So being able to show up for people that I've worked with that want to be a part of this community. I love when there's an intersection. It's just like, you need help and I want to do this with you guys. So that's something that I'm just like really excited about. And I'm manifesting a surf trip to some, so after all of this, like when I want to, reset and, because we all need that personal time to reset and resource ourselves. It's going to be in the form of a surf trip with epic waves. So that's really all that I'm looking forward to personally and professionally.
That's exciting. I'm happy for you. So if anyone wants to reach out to you to have you as a life coach, how can they reach out to you or how can they follow you on your social media?
Yeah, you can reach me at I'm also working on, I also have a podcast. So,
so that's what I was waiting for and I almost forgot.
So you can connect with me on my my personal or coaching Instagram at Leannah. You can also connect with me on my podcast Instagram. It's called at the Undercurrent Podcast. If you are considering coaching, you can reach out to me on either handle. If you want to get a feel for what it's like to work with me, you can talk with Diana. You can also listen to my podcast episodes. There's just some really cool conversations that I've had with some amazing women on there. And there's some that I'm actually planning on doing solo as well. And yeah, you could reach me there. That's probably the easiest.
And I'll definitely tag you wherever I post this.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I don't want to keep you because I said it would be a 30-minute interview. But I just wanted to say thank you again for being a part of this interview. And as I always say, I admire you. You're a beautiful person inside and out. And I think you're a role model for a lot of women, especially women of color. And I'm excited for what you have planned in the future. And everything that you're saying right now will be of value to other women. So thank you.
Thank you so much. And I really admire you. Every single time that we talk, you just show up fully for yourself and for the community that you are building. I love the work that you're doing. Like I said, I connect to it. I feel like our purposes are very much in line with each other, and it just feels good to collaborate on all the things that we've collaborated on and to get to see you often.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, you're amazing. You're a women's empowerment leader, and yeah, I'm just loving what you're doing, and I love our connection.
Oh, thank you. And I applaud you too. Talk to you later.